Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel Off the Underside. Hope we're all good. Hope everybody's doing well this fine Monday evening. Just going to do a wee preview of the Scotland game, the Scotland and Denmark crucial match tomorrow night. Obviously, it is a huge game for Scotland. It's probably one of the biggest games in Scotland's very recent history, I would say anyway, even since like 1998. I would say this is probably their biggest game. Obviously, they've had the game against England in the Euros and stuff. But it's still a very, very crucial game, which I'm sure everybody will be watching tomorrow with bated breath. Denmark are a big threat. You know, it's like people need to remember that they are a very good nation. You know, they've still got Christian Eriksen. They've got Damsgaard, who's a good winger. They've got Christensen at the back, who played for Chelsea, Barcelona, teams like that. So there is a lot to consider tomorrow night for Scotland. Denmark are currently 1 point ahead in the group. So they'll come to Hampden tomorrow with the intent to try and come at Scotland to try and grab a goal, an early goal. If Scotland get an early goal, though, then I fully believe that they can do this, you know. But it'll be interesting. It's a bit of a shame. Billy Gilmore's injured for tomorrow. I know he's been at the last couple of games, but he is a big player for Scotland. He's been playing really well in Serie A. But obviously, there will be cover in there. Obviously, Scott McTominay will play, who's obviously in big form at the moment. Ballon d'Or nominee. But it'll be interesting to see who Steve Clarke starts up front tomorrow. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk of Shea Adams as he's not really been performing very well. Lawrence Shankland is now in the squad. Will Lawrence Shankland make the team? Will he make the squad? I think he'll definitely be on the bench at least anyway. But we'll see what happens. Personally, I would start with Lawrence Shankland. I would start with Shankland up front. He's the sort of guy who can get you goals. He's already in good form this season for Hearts. He's Hearts captain. He's doing really well at this point in time. So why not just play Lawrence Shankland? You know, I know that I don't think Steve Clarke's his biggest fan, obviously, but you've got Che Adams, Lawrence Shankland, or Lyndon Dykes will be the candidates. I would personally go with Shankland. I really would, because of the fact he can get you a goal. A lot of people have been talking about Grant Hanley and John Souttar at the back. I personally believe that Craig Halkett should have been in that squad. I know that he's not there and it's hypothetical now, but Craig Halkett's having a fantastic season at Hearts. Even Stuart Finley's having a good season at Hearts, and for some reason these guys didn't get in. Obviously, I know that guys like Jack Henry and stuff are in there. But personally, I would have liked to have seen Halkett in there. I'd have liked to have seen Halkett and Hanley as like a partner, you know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. John McGinn's going to be a big threat. Lawrence Shankland, like I say. Ben Doak's on good form. Ben Doak, to me, was a big threat against Greece. And he was part of the reason why they came back the way they did. But one thing I will say here is Steve Clarke cannot play defensive tomorrow. He cannot come out tomorrow and go, oh, let's try and just sneak a wee win. No, he has to come out tomorrow and actually go for it. He has to go and attack the game, try and get a goal early, Scotland get an early goal tomorrow. It's a complete game changer for me. A complete game changer. So that's what I'm hoping happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comments or whatever. But yeah, it's one of the most. I'm just reading a wee bit of article here. One of the most defining games of Scotland, of football in Scotland history, comes to Hampden Park on Tuesday evening as Denmark, with a win, sure to seal their spot at the World Cup next year. Scotland could have been in a better position, but slipped up against Greece on Saturday as they lost 3-2 in a game where they were down 3-0 at second half. So that's another good thing we have to talk about. We have to talk about why, obviously, it was a very bad start for Scotland to get beat, to get early 3 goals against them, you know. But one thing I will say about they showed resilience. Loads of teams would have just lay down, let that be 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, it could have been. It could have been. The first half was just awful for Scotland, but they did show a bit of resilience in the second half, and they should have went on to at least draw the game. They had loads and loads of chances. Che Adams had a chance. McTominay had a big chance in that, so there should have at least been a draw on Saturday night. But I must admit, they done well to come back to the game, to at least make it a bit of a game with a few minutes to go. So it is a huge game. Angus Gunn is injured. He's going to be injured. 42-year-old Craig Gordon is going to be in goal again, I'd imagine. I thought Craig Gordon pulled off a couple of good saves against Greece, to be honest with you. I thought that he get done well to a couple of shots, because Greece had loads of chances, particularly in that first half. But no, I thought Craig Gordon done well. The game will be on BBC tomorrow. The referee is Polish. VAR is Polish. The game kicks off at 7:45. So here's who I would play. Here's who my starting 11 would be tomorrow. Obviously, I would put Craig Gordon in goal. I really would. Aaron Hickey. A lot of people thinking that Grant Hanley might get dropped for tomorrow, which I wouldn't be particularly surprised about. John Shooter. This is who ESPN have went for. We'll just go with this. Aaron Hickey, John Shooter, Scott McKenna, Andy Robertson, John McGinn, Lewis Ferguson, Ryan Christie, Scott McTominay, Ben Doak, Che Adams. I wouldn't be surprised if it's far off that, to be honest. I think it will be there or thereabouts. Personally, I would like to see Shankland instead of Adams and Scott McKenna coming in for Grant Hanley. Is that really going to make much of a difference, to be honest? I don't know. But Andy Robertson is just looking, he's not looking like the player he was, is he? Let's be honest here. Still a very, very good player, by all accounts. There's talk of him signing a pre-contract with Celtic, from what I've seen. But we'll see. Here's a wee stat for you. Scotland and Denmark have played each other 19 times. Scotland have won 11 of those 19 games, with Denmark winning 7. So history is on Scotland's side tomorrow. So that's a good omen, hopefully. But we'll see. Scotland need to have a bit of confidence tomorrow. There's too many games like this over the years with Scotland where they have been too nervy. They've been too nervy in games, you know. And tomorrow calls for strong heads. It calls for people to stand out and be counted and try and take the game to Denmark early doors. Get the Hampden roar. Early doors. Get everybody pelting out the flower of Scotland. And I'm hoping that Scotland can do the business tomorrow, because it's been 28 years since they last made the Euros, which is just incredible. Absolutely, it'll be 28 years next year. Well, once the World Cup comes around, it'll be 28 years. So I'm really, really hoping that Scotland can get there. I remember the team of '98, and I was a big fan of that team of '98. You know, it was guys like John Collins and Colin Hendry and Gary McAllister, really, really good players. See, if I'm being honest, I don't think this is the best Scotland squad since that, you know. I think that obviously back in the day, like Alan McLeish's teams, Walter Smith teams, you had Scott Brown and Barry Ferguson in the middle of the park. To me, two of the best Scottish midfielders of the past 30 odd years. One thing Scotland did have, though, was goal scorers. They had guys like Kenny Miller and Alan McCoist and even guys like Chris Boyd, Lee Griffiths and stuff. But there's not really any goal scorers in this current Scotland squad. You've got Lyndon Dykes, doesn't score much goals. Che Adams doesn't score many goals. Lawrence Shankland does, but he doesn't get a game. So it's one thing. All I'm just asking for is Steve Clarke comes out with a bit of integrity tomorrow, a bit of intent. Just try and attack the game. Let's see what they can achieve, and let's hope so. But if anybody's got any comments, leave them in the comments. I'll answer them. And we'll go on to Celtic in a minute. With the current situation at Celtic, it's still pretty much up in the air. With Wilfred Nancy, who is looking like it could be the next Celtic manager, but Martin O'Neill has come out today in a conference and said, yep, he is still in charge of the club at the moment, still in charge of the team. So let's see this. Gordon DL. What's Gordon DL saying? What's Gordon DL saying? Gordon DL baffled by Scott Brown's suggestion a Celtic push for Wilfred Nancy as a new boss. This is from 67 Hail Hail. Last time Celtic brought in a former player as their coach was when Neil Lennon returned following Brendan Rodgers' first spell. Now Rodgers has left a second time. It doesn't seem as though the powers that be at Celtic are going to go down a similar road. Yes, Shaun Maloney is in charge of Celtic now alongside Martin O'Neill, but it seems as though Wilfred Nancy is the front-runner for the permanent Parkhead gig. But Nancy isn't everyone's cup of tea. And Scott Brown's name has been brought up as the Frenchman seemingly edges closer to the main job. Right, so what is Brownie saying? What's wee Brownie saying? Oh, Gordondale baffled by the suggestion of Scott Brown as Celtic's next manager. Right, so it's not actually been touted. Gordon Brown is the current coach of Championship Ayr United. And when the former midfielder's name was brought up on Clyde One Super Scoreboard, it left Gordondale baffled. DL made the point that if Brown had never played for Celtic, nobody would ever consider him as the Hoops next manager. It's hard to disagree with that, to be honest. I mean, Scott Brown hasn't done anything as a manager yet. No doubt he has got the potential. He's done a good job at Ayr United and stuff, but DL's right. You know, there's no way that anybody would be considering Scott Brown at this point in time if he wasn't a former Celtic captain. Hello, Natalie. How you doing? Saying Wilfred Nancy falling through. Who's saying this? So this breaking news you've got for me here. When you get big clubs, whether it's Celtic or Rangers, you always think, get a Celtic man in, responded DL. That doesn't get you a job. Look, put it this way. Saying Scott Brown had never played for Celtic, would Scott Brown be able to get in and be a manager of coach at Celtic? I mean, he's right. He's right. He absolutely is right. I don't like when these jobs come up, these big jobs come up, and it's just lazy journalism. You know, if your Celtic job comes up, let's go for Scott Brown. Let's go for all these past Celtic guys. You know, and when Rangers job comes up, let's go for Barry Ferguson and stuff. These people need to earn the job. They need to earn the job. So, personally, I don't feel that Scott Brown is the right man for Celtic at this moment in time. But I'm just saying here, if the Wilfred Nancy thing, what Natalie's saying is true, if there's any that has fallen through, I've not seen anything yet. I need to have a look and see. Let's have a look. Don't see anything, Natalie. Where are you seeing this? Send anybody reporting an accident? Let's go and see. But if there's anything anybody else wants to talk about, just leave it in the comments. More than happy to talk about anything tonight. Football chat. I'll be for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Remember and hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel yet. If you're on Facebook, then hit the follow button, guys. Right. But I'm looking forward to the international 8-0 international break being over, to be honest. Obviously, I'm looking forward to this game tomorrow, though. I really am. Let's see if anything's happened here. Oh, hold on, let me see something here. So I don't know who's reporting this, but there's something on X here. The deal for Wilfred Nancy to become the next Celtic manager reportedly fell through due to concerns over his readiness to take charge of a high-profile team like Celtic. According to sources close to the club, the board questions whether Nancy possessed the immediate experience required to lead the team, with Celtic ambitious in both domestic and European competitions. This suggests that Celtic's decision to reject Nancy was based on doubts about his ability to handle the pressure and expectations that come with managing a top-tier team like Celtic. It's worth noting that Nancy was considered a strong candidate for the job, and talks between him and Celtic had reached an advanced stage. However, the club ultimately decided to hold out for another candidate or option, possibly due to concerns about his lack of European experience. Nancy's background in the MLS, where he managed Columbus Crew and previously CF Montreal, may not have been seen as sufficient preparation for the demands of managing a major European club. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. That is just something that somebody has shared on Twitter or X now. So possibly it's maybe fell through, I'm seeing here. I don't know. But if anything else I can see, I'll let you know at the moment. But I don't see anything else here. Nothing concrete at the moment. It's just been shared by someone on X, so we don't know. I don't know. I don't see anybody, in the know reporting it yet. I don't see any journalists or anything or anything like that saying it. So at the moment, Wilfred Nancy is still the main candidate for me at Celtic. As I've stated many, many times over the past week or so, I want Knutson from Bodo Glimt. I know they've got 2 games left. Will Celtic hold out for them? I would be happy for Celtic to hold out for Knutson, to be honest. I know, like I say, 2 games left after this international break, so we would get them in December. And I'm happy. I'd be happy for that. We were hoping so. Martin O'Neill will be the interim manager. So, yeah. Martin O'Neill was definitely going to be an interim manager up until the new man comes in. Martin won't walk away until the new man is appointed. Personally, I want somebody in pretty much right now. I want it to happen right now. They can't be waiting another week or two unless they broker a deal with Knutson and it's all sorted. But Martin O'Neill will be in charge for next weekend, I would imagine. But time will tell. Time will tell. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think in the comments and stuff. Let's see what other football news has been happening today. Let's see what else we've got to talk about. Obviously, England have qualified. England have qualified already before they even kicked a ball. Man City, Liverpool and Spurs target Semenyo as January release clause. When I was talking to Big Dan Bateman a couple of months ago now, we were talking, it was me, Corey and Dan, we were talking about Manchester United and how they should be targeting players like Semenyo, who is a very, very good player for Bournemouth at the moment. And I'd like to see him go to like a Man United. Because if he goes to Man City, Liverpool, is he going to get a game? He might not. Ireland beating Hungary, good call, Natalie. Yep, very good result for Ireland beating Hungary in the last kick of the ball. Troy Parrott getting a hat-trick. And Celtic's big centre-half, Liam Scales, getting his head on it right at the very death for Troy Parrott to nick it away. Unbelievable result for Ireland away to Hungary, and obviously beating Portugal during the week as well was just fantastic. So big congratulations to Ireland and the Irish for that. Hopefully they're another one that can get to the World Cup alongside Scotland. That would be brilliant. That would be brilliant if we had Scotland and Ireland in the World Cup next year. That would be brilliant. So let's see what it says about Semenyo here at Bournemouth. Bournemouth forward Antoine Semenyo has a £65 million release clause that becomes active in January. Sky Sports News understands. Semenyo release stands at 60 million plus 5 million in add-ons, but is only active to a certain date in the January transfer window. The release clause price drops in the summer of 2026. Right, okay, so it's more likely it'll probably go in the summer then, if it's going to drop. Bristol City, who sold Semenyo to the Cherries for around 10 million in January 2023, would be due 20% of any profit made on the 25-year-old. Sky Sports News reported last week that Manchester City, Liverpool and Tottenham were watching Semenyo as teams look at him to add his pace, power and goal-scoring ability to the squad in the winter window. Semenyo signed a new 5-year deal in the summer after several teams inquired about his availability, but he would not have signed a new contract without a release clause. Despite reports of Semenyo's demanding a move, he is not. He has full respect for Bournemouth, knowing he will get his move if he continues to perform because of his release clause. I like that. You know, that is a good sign that Semenyo is just got to be happy at Bournemouth up until the time comes where he will move on to a bigger club. Fair play to him, that's how you do it. You know, you don't down tools, you don't throw the toys at the pram, and then you won't get your move. You won't get your move. You need to be focused and let it come to you. You know what I mean? Let it attract to you. Let these teams attract to you. No other way about it. How well he does between now and the turn of the year will dictate the calibre of club he can go to in January. There you go, see. That's if anyone wants to pay his release clause. Semenyo is enjoying a stellar season, having scored 6 Premier League goals. Only Man City's Erling Haaland and Brentford's Igor Thiago have scored more in this campaign. It follows on from a return of 11 league goals and 5 assists last season for the Ghana international. Brilliant numbers for a guy playing at Bournemouth as a winger. Brilliant. Aberdeen close gap on David Watson, midfielder. All right, that'd be a good signing for Celtic. We're linked with him. That'd be good signing for Aberdeen. Semenyo has returned early from international duty with an injury which Bournemouth are currently assessing. The ex-Bristol City forward suffered a ligament sprain during Ghana's 2-0 defeat to Japan on Friday. Semenyo was taken off with the injury early in the second half of the Black Stars' defeat. Iraola's side will be sweating on his fitness for the visit of West Ham on Saturday as the 9th placed side that look to overcome back-to-back Premier League defeats. Listen, teams like Bournemouth will always go through wee patches, you know. They'll always go through patches where they're losing a few games in a row. The boy Iraola has done amazing work at Bournemouth. Amazing work. You know, he was at Real Vallecano before it, where I was really impressed with what he'd done there, to be honest. And I'm surprised he only got a move to Bournemouth. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but I thought he'd get a bigger job than that. But he's done wonders there. He's done absolute wonders with no much money. Speaking to Sky Sports earlier this month, Semenyo said he is not oblivious to the speculation around his future, but revealed he was glad he remained with Bournemouth in the summer. Brilliant attitude. Really is. You know, I'll just mention names. I was going to say I'll not mention names, but look at guys like Wilfred Zaha. You know, he was just desperate for moves all the time. And it's not worked out for Wilfred Zaha, let's be honest. He ends up going to Galatasaray and teams like that. All right, he did get his big move to Man United early on in his career. Didn't work. But to me, Semenyo's shown the right attitude here. He said, I don't think about it too much. I try to stay present as much as I can. You see the news all the time. I see it as well. I'm not oblivious, but I try to keep focused. I'm enjoying my football here. If I'm not scoring goals, all of that goes away. I try to stay present, do the best I can for the team, score goals, and whatever happens in the future happens. Love that. Absolutely love that. Wendy, his former teammates, all left in the summer. There was not a lot of interest and back and forth with the club. But I knew in my head that the manager got something up his sleeve this year. How we finished of the season last year was so good, and we could continue, especially with the players we've bought in as well. I wasn't too sure at the start, but we've kicked on like a house on fire. I'm glad I committed to staying here because I'm enjoying every moment. Saying all the right things for me, Semenyo. So I'm a big fan of that boy, and I think that he will go to a bigger club, and I think he will do really well. What else we got here before we finish up? Let's see what Steve Clarke's got to say about this. Scotland versus Denmark. Steve Clarke wants to achieve more good things by ending 28-year World Cup absence. Scotland are facing a winner-takes-all clash against Denmark following their 3-2 defeat to Greece. Scotland can secure a spot at the World Cup for the first time since 1998, as I was talking about earlier, with the win against Denmark on November 18th. Billy Gilmour has been ruled out of the clash with injury. Steve Clarke says, we've got another very, very good thing that we can achieve together. Understated as ever, Steve Clarke is refusing to get caught up in the nervous hype of Scotland's potentially on the verge of qualifying for the World Cup for the first time since 1998. The task against Denmark on Tuesday night is simple. Win and a place in the next summer's tournament is guaranteed. If not, they have a playoff in March to fall back on. Nobody really wants to go to this playoff in March, let's be honest. No way this kind of opportunity, with this opportunity to go straight to the World Cup with just a one-off game against Denmark, it's going to feel like an absolute defeat. Even if they get into the playoffs, it's going to feel like a total defeat for Scotland. Clarke, who's out of contract at the end of this campaign, that's another big thing, This is his last one song because I don't think he's going to sign a new contract. I think this, regardless of Scotland getting to the World Cup or not, this will be Steve Clarke's last contract. Clarke, who's out of contract at the end of the campaign, has already led the national side to back-to-back European Championships and is hoping to go one better this time. I'd like to go to the World Cup of my country, he said, as he confirmed Billy Gilmour would miss the match after failing to recover from injury. I think if you look at what we've achieved over the last 6.5 years, a lot of these players are already, I'll use words, legends, he said. Don't know if I agree with that. I think if they get to the World Cup, they will be considered legends, Scotland legends. But they're already very, very high in the ranking of what we've done as a country. When I took the job 6.5 years ago, a lot of people were saying, don't touch it. It's a poison chalice. You can't do this. I looked at the group of players and said, I see some quality there. I look forward to working with this group of players because I think we can achieve good things. We've managed to do that. Now we've got another very, very good thing that we can achieve together. Scotland's unbeaten run in Group C ended on Saturday with a 3-2 defeat in Greece. But Denmark's 2-2 draw with Belarus means it is a winner-takes-all clash Hampden Park. By the way, Scotland are very, very lucky to even be in this position. To even be in the position of playing this match against Denmark, for still to get to the World Cup. I mean, like I said earlier, very, very poor performance in Greece, particularly the first half. Everybody in their granny was expecting Denmark to just walk over the top of Belarus. Didn't happen. Could have even been better for Scotland because Belarus were 2-1 up with like 5-10 minutes to go. So Denmark did get a late equaliser. But Scotland are very, very lucky and they have to go into this game knowing that and go into this game with no regrets at the end of it. I'm expecting their heads won't be down because they also still have the opportunity to go through as a group winners. added Clarke of the Danes, who they drew with in Copenhagen in September. That's another good thing as well. I mentioned the stats earlier on of Scotland against Denmark. I think that the last match should give Scotland that confidence. Drawing 0-0 with Denmark over there is a fantastic result. They'll come here determined to make amends for the slip-up the other night. We're determined to make sure that it's another difficult night for the Danes and get a great night for us. So anyway, I think it's a massive opportunity for Scotland. I think he's got to play the right players. I think he's got to give them the right attitude. And I think that Scotland should do the business. If everybody just comes together and let's go and cheer the team on and everything. By the way, guys, I'm going to try and go live a lot more often on here, just to talk about daily things and any topics anybody wants to talk about and stuff. So I should be live around about 7, half 7 most nights on YouTube and on Facebook. Anybody get any questions or topics they want us to talk about? Anybody wants to join in, whatever, just let us know. Put in the comments, don't be shy. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.